Hi, everybody. My name is Barrett, Laurie. If you're watching this on the replay, I sometimes do videos about writing, or I used to. I do 2 live streams on this lovely channel a month. One of them is AuthorTubers React over on Nia the Vixen Fictions, and one is The Writer's Room with Morgan Lee and Tiffany Russell. So check that out the second Tuesday of every month, and AuthorTubers React switches around. It's usually the last Saturday of the month. I also do AuthorTube karaoke with the lovely and talented Margaret Pinard, and that is the second Saturday of every month. I do other videos, but you'll just have to wait and see what happens there. You're welcome. All right, today we are here to talk to my dear friend, Adrian Santiago. I feel like I've been on this journey with him from the beginning. I got to read this book a few years ago, which we're going to talk a little bit later about some of the changes, which there weren't many, as I told him backstage, but I'm excited to visit about it a little bit. And we're going to talk with you about his new book, Shadow of the Spark. I can't wait. So lots of exciting things. You know, we're going to do 3 giveaways of ebooks. We're going to give away 1 paperback book. We're going to talk about the book. So put your questions in chat with a Q so I can star them and bring them up later. A lot of you were here early. I saw JC Carpenter and Emma and like Shannon and a few other people in chat early. Thank you, but your comments dropped off. Love you, miss you, wanted to say hey. Everybody else, we're going to roll through some comments quickly. I asked a very important poll question, which was, is it past Richard Holiday's bedtime? And 42% of you said yes. Richard, sucks to be you, my friend. But while we go through comments, because there's so many, I'm going to bring up my lovely friend and guest, Adrian Santiago, Books by Adrian. Welcome, and tell everybody about yourself while I run through some comments. Take it away.
Will do. Okay, I remember to unmute myself this time. Hi, everybody. Write on writers, read on readers, and all that kind of good stuff. So weird to be on this side of it. It always bugs me out. Hi, I'm a new author, and I've got a book out. And if you would like an introduction into the Mythic series, this book is free this week. It's the prologue, short story, lead-in to the main novel. It gives you a little backstory on the murder victims, which will be unraveling their mystery in the main book. So that is free this week as an ebook at most places. And this is Mythic Shadow of the Spark, and it is live this week. The ebook is on sale, 50% off, $4.99 at all your favorite booksellers. And then the paperback is $19.99. And for some reason, Amazon says that it's currently out of print or something, or out of stock. Don't believe them. Just go over to Barnes & Noble or Books A Million or any of the other places that have the paperback and get it that way. Or you can win one today during this stream. Booksbyadrian.com. And I'm so excited to be here. Let's do this.
Okay, first of all, so a couple of things. We are doing a hashtag. Adrian, the hashtag is MSOTS.
Yes.
Hashtag MSOTS, which I have on a banner if you're old like me and need it.
Boom.
There you go. So put that in the in the chat with the hashtag, and then you will be in the drawing for the giveaway tool that's going to come up later for the ebooks and the physical. Let's do the physical last because I feel like it's the big hurrah at the end.
Hey, if they use the hashtag more often in the chat, like if they use it more than once, does it increase their chances? Does it add drawings?
I actually don't know. Let's try it.
Let's experiment that. Yeah, use it as often as you can, I guess.
So that, hey, RC, good to see you. There's a few people I missed. Hey, Amy, Emma, and Sophie, and Lee, Margaret, all the folks. Hey, y'all. All right, let's get to the main event. So, one more thing. He was mentioning the newsletter and the giveaway. The link for that is in the description box below. So, if you need that, it is below. So, okay, real quick. What year, because I couldn't remember, what year was it that you handed, that I was on, I think it was over on Kent Sean's channel or Bethany's, and we were backstage, and you were like, hey, I've got 5 chapters of my book, if anybody wants to read it and give feedback. Yeah. Because I got in that draft and followed Bethany, who gave, like, great feedback. And mine was, this is good. But I read behind her. So what was that, 21? Like fall?
Yeah, probably around 21. Yeah, it's 23 now, and I started the channel in 2020, I think. So yeah, it was probably right around 2021 when I started throwing chapters at people and looking for feedback. Yeah.
Okay. 1 second. I'm making a moderator real fast.
Which means I've been working on this novel in some form or another for over 3 years.
Well, okay, so that was one of my questions. So beginning to end, start to finish, what was the timeline? 3 years from what? Because I also want to ask, because I saw something, like I want to hear a little bit about the mushroom trip that inspired the story.
Okay.
So, But like, give me that timeline.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, I can't remember exactly what year the mushroom trip took place in. It was definitely within the last 5 years or so, and it was just this really jarring experience that made me face a lot of the darker corners of myself, and get in there with a good broom and sweep some crap out, and do some cleaning and become a better person and a better husband and a better father.
Yeah.
And when all of that changed, and I realized how significant that trip was and how much it changed in me, I was then like, I gotta write about this. So I wrote. I don't like writing about myself literally. Like, I don't like having I can't keep a journal. Like, like, it's just like I'm boring myself. Why am I talking about myself? So instead, I'll put it into stories. So I wrote it as a short story. I kind of pantsed it, so to speak. It just kind of came out of me. Bella just came fully formed. Mitch was just fully formed. He just, like, they
Yeah.
both just appeared. And then when I knew it was something bigger was when Faye shows up in the prologue, because she had lived in my head for maybe 10 years or more, and I kept trying to plug her into different stories, and she never quite fit, and I would always try to, like, change her to make her fit, and she was never quite right.
Yeah.
But, like, I knew that she was special and I needed her for something, and once she appeared here and it was so natural and it fit so perfectly, I realized, oh, this is a novel. And by the time I started outlining the novel, then I realized it was a series.
So, natural question: how many words? Like, when you were all said and done, what was your, like? Because I know it's a big boy. So
Yeah, I believe it is. I because I did one final proofread at the end, like right before hitting publish, so it may have changed a little bit. But last count I remember was 472,000 400 100. Wow, 147,000 words.
that's good. So one other thing that I remember you talking about was like, you were like, hey, it's going to be an amalgamation, and I love that the background's kind of perfect where it's the fantasy. Well, I can get rid of the
Isn't
banner.
that cool? Yeah.
Mystery and fantasy. But did you have any, like, I know, that's common advice to, like, stay in your lane, pick your lane,
Sure.
yada yada. So talk to me a little bit about, like, what made you have the gonads to say, you know what, let's just try it and see.
Well, what's interesting about that is you tell people stay in their lane. Well, who are you to tell me what my lane is? I can stay in my lane, but my lane might not be what you think it is. And so while they say stay in your lane, I think, yeah, my lane includes about 5 different genres. So let's just do that. I didn't set out to do that from the jump. It just was that, the world was what it was. It's a sci-fi world. The plot became what it was. It's a murder mystery. The characters, just Faye being there alone, brings magic into it. So it wasn't just sci-fi; it was sci-fi fantasy from the jump. It just organically was that, and I didn't want to strip anything away from what was naturally there for me.
Yeah. Wait. Yes, you are, for sure. All right. I'm going to make an awkward moment because we're going to squeeze in. We're at 10 minutes already. We're going to squeeze in a giveaway because
Yeah. Okay.
we got a lot to give away. So
Yeah, let's
pause.
do it.
And don't forget questions, queue, so I see them because I'm old. And I have
Oh yeah, I haven't seen any yet.
or else I'm going to miss it. So questions, you got to put a queue there and I'll start. But hashtag MSOTS. And I want to pull up the giveaway tool and we're going to give a book away. So wait, 9 entries.
Who's the first lucky winner? This is one of the ebooks, right?
Yes.
All
It's
right.
one of the ebooks. We've got 8 entries so far. Anybody else wants to do hashtag MSOTS, then you're entered to win. I've only got 8 so far. You better hurry, scurry. Time's a
And if there's only 8, that answers the question that it only counts you once.
Oh yeah, you're right. Actually, that answered it.
Yeah.
Okay, now how do I share it here? Because old. See, Adrian, this is why it's so fun to work with me.
No, hey man, this is all part of the game.
That RC Scott, you're our guy. So here's what you're gonna do, RC Scott. Which, if you left, I'll message him because I've got socials. We're connected. But what we're gonna do is I usually contact the person. I ask them to shoot me their email address connected to their Kindle, and then I send it to them within 24 hours of the stream. So RC Scott, I will get in touch with you and get your email for your Kindle. And again, I will shoot your whatever device you prefer, and I will shoot you the ebook. All right. Oh, and if you're outside the continental United States, then I send you money through Patreon or Ko-fi. So to buy the book. I'm not just buying you coffee. I mean, that's fine too, but get the book.
Yeah, get the book.
Book is the import. All right, we're going to pull this down, and I'm going to go back. So real quick, and I'm going to backtrack real quick because I want to leave everyone with a mushroom trip. So if someone has not tripped before, how would you, as a writer, describe that to them?
Well, I mean, reading the prologue is a good place to start. The thing is, they're not necessarily always the same. I can't ever, I'm not going to tell you what you're going to experience, and that's exactly what's going to happen to you. That was not my first mushroom trip. It was more like my fourth, and the first three were very chill and low key, and nothing crazy or existential really happened. It was all just very kind of chill. So this one kind of took me by surprise. We went a little deeper, and I wasn't ready for the depths. And it's something that so many people would describe as a bad trip, but the bad trips are good for you because it means that there's something wrong, and you not anything else, but you are trying to work it out. You're being confronted with this thing, whatever it is, and you need to do something about it. And if you do, then that was a beneficial thing for you. That trip then becomes a very good thing. And so I remember that bad trip very fondly. And I you don't ever want to have one because again, it means that something's wrong. But there's something that it's reassuring to know that if there was something wrong,
yeah,
I can identify it. I can do something about it. It's just an interesting thing.
Absolutely. No, I love it. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. We're going to let Adrian do a quick reading. I want to remind everyone, if you have questions, put a Q and I will star them. I'm starring the ones I see. Adrian's going to do a quick reading from the book. The links to purchase are below. And don't forget, you are getting the prequel for Freezies this week. So get out there and get it. All you have to do is sign up for his newsletter. Link in the description box below. Adrian, whenever you're ready, I'm going to make you big and you're going to just do the dang thing.
All right. So this is from chapter 1, and it, once I find it, will be the scene where our detective is inspecting the crime scene for the first time. She's a rookie detective. This is her first case on her own, her first murder case on her own, and should be here. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start here. She's about to enter the house. Just then, Migdalia felt a chill in the air. Her grandma would have said a ghost just flew through her. Something moved outside her field of vision, and she lifted her eyes to it. There was a face in the sky. Gaps in the cloud, the shape of large disc eyes, tiny slit nostrils, and a thin mouth. There was no hatred in the face, nor love. It simply observed, with its gaze of stars fixed on the house. Migdalia blinked, and the face was gone. Just another cloud, like all the rest. Get it together, Mix. What the fuck? A few feet from the door, as the last of the officers poured out, she smelled the unmistakable scent of death. Okay, it's been at least 24 hours, she noted. The report stated that the door was locked when the first responders arrived. The security chain was attached inside. There had been no signs of forced entry, and upon recording all these details, they broke the door down to get in. The broken front door was on the south wall of the house, facing the street. Migdalia stepped through, careful of the splintered pieces still clinging to the doorframe. The air was heavy with dust, creating a smoky quality that swirled through beams of soullight, breaking in between shutters and curtains. She stood in the doorway and took it all in. The house, a large cube, was divided into 4 sections. The southwest quarter held the bedroom and bathroom, the northwest was the kitchen, the northeast was the dining room, and the southeast was the living room. The dining room had glass doors, also found closed and locked, which opened to a modest and overgrown backyard. This was a single man's house, she considered, looking around, just the essentials. Migdalia crossed the living room to the north end of the house where the bodies were lying. Her det specs scanned the dining room and recorded video footage of her investigation. The male was sitting up with his back against the breakfast bar nearest to the kitchen. There was a knife in his chest, and his hands were gripped around the handle. Rigor mortis had set in, cementing the pose. Migdalia tilted her head. That's odd. The female was laying flat on her back in the dining room, furthest from the kitchen, but right in front of the male. There was a stab wound in her chest, which was consistent with the knife the male still had in his chest, according to the measurements of the wound taken by her death specs. But her face, it was a red ruin. A pounded up mash of skin, cartilage, skull, and brains. There was so much blood Migdalia could taste metal. She felt a force come up to her throat, and she took 2 steps back, gasping for breath to keep from vomiting. The smell in the room made it impossible to breathe. Vandersea, Archie chimed in, you're showing signs of nausea. Reach into your pouch, in your belt. Pouch number 6. There's some vapor cream in there. He said, you ain't.
Not sure if it's me or Adrian. I think Adrian may be freezing a little.
Oh boy, yeah. Is
you
that
are.
my wife? Am I
you're
back?
back. You're back. Okay, sorry. I just
All
took
right.
you down because I thought I didn't want to lose people. Okay, you're back.
That's
Finish
all
up.
right. Okay, cool. I think I have like a page left. Hold on. She steadied her chest, and the deep breaths brought blood flow to her head. Feeling clear again, she dove back in, riding the prickly energy from the morning blunt. Items all around the room were highlighted in her display with data already collating from them. Migdalia played with the controls, changing the mode of input through night vision, infrared, digital luminol mode for blood and DNA work, and so on. She crouched down and got in as close to the female's body as possible. Her face had been destroyed by a bludgeoning, but the instrument used was as of yet unknown. The stab wound looked to be incredibly accurate, straight into the center of the heart. X-ray mode on the death specs confirmed it. She took special note of the mess around the victim's head on the ground. She was already lying still here when he beat her face in. Why kill her, then beat her? Migdalia scanned the female's fingerprints and obtained samples by touching the tip of her finger to the blood. The pads on the fingertips of the glove drew in the sample like a straw, and the death specs began running diagnostics on it. She turned her attention to the male, knife to the heart with the same accuracy. His hands were still on the handle. She scanned what she could of his fingerprints and touched the pads of her gloved fingertips to the blood, running that as well. Whilst waiting for the results, she turned her investigation to the kitchen. The kitchen showed signs of a struggle, likely where this all began: a ruffled up rug, scuff marks on the tile, and some knocked over bottles and glasses, all with a directional quality that seemed to lead to the bodies on the dining room floor. Her death specs mapped the area and tagged all the points of evidence Migdalia dictated. As the data was collated, a crude rendering of the events appeared in her view. The scribbled silhouettes of 2 people, one blue, the other red, fighting in the kitchen, played in a continuous loop. The figures were genderless and inconsistent with the 2 bodies in size and weight, but the choreography checked out. As she moved around the kitchen, the scribbles maintained perspective in her death specs. She studied their movements, scuffling up the tile, ruffling the rug. Then one of them grabbed a knife from the kitchen table. Migdalia witnessed it in real time. The grabbing of the knife, rushing the girl, falling atop, the stab, and then the murderer crawled backward, away from the corpse, stopping only because his back hit the breakfast bar. His dirty shoes left prints on the floor, highlighted in the display. Then he stabbed himself in the heart and died almost instantly. Am I running long? Maybe that's good.
That's good. Okay, so you got lots of feedback. Well, and then of course the glitchy part was funny because people had the curse got you and that sorts of thing.
It's always
yeah.
It's a curse with me.
I loved it. I loved it. Okay, I've got some good questions for you, so I'm just going to start throwing them at you.
Cool.
Okay, so number 1 was your dear Bethany Vota, who I love. Which character do you identify with most?
Each one has a piece of either me or someone I know in them, so all of them. But the one that people are going to assume I identify more with is the male in the 3, Lear. But really, I think it's more Migdalia. I think Migdalia is a mix of myself and my wife, just ideas from the both of us. And I think Detective Migdalia Vandersea might be the one I identify with the most. She also has the most similar childhood and upbringing to me and my wife. We just have like a lot of things in common with her. So
interesting. Bethany asks, which character POV was the most fun to write?
Faye. It's always Faye because she has the ability to see auras, and so when writing through her POV, you also have the ability to see auras, and you get to read the characters that you're in their heads most of the time. You get to read them from another perspective and see how their behavior is being read by somebody who can see the colors of their soul. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Kind of amazing. I love that. All right, I've got more questions, so hang tight. The
Let's do
next
it.
one is from Just Eva. Oh hell, I just unstarted. Damn it to hell. Old Eva, I'm old. Wait, there it goes. I got it. Oh no, she's talking about being a designated driver for a mushroom mom. So I had started that point. Different point. Which character is most like you? Which is sort of like Bethany's talking.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Lear has a lot of similarities to me. He's got a sister, roughly the same age difference as my sister is to me, and they're both Latino characters and island born. So, yeah, there's similarities there too for sure.
Is it weird when the book floats up next to you to get seen by the camera?
I was doing that in another stream. She's just like making fun. I just like.
You should do that. I think that's the name of the game. Esther asked, what was the inspiration of the world? Which Esther missed the story, which we started with, but that's okay. We'll catch you up real quick. Mushroom trip. So rewind.
Yeah, well, the mushroom trip definitely sparked this story. The world, however, much like Faye, the world pre-existed the idea for this story. I had a world and no story to tell within it, and I had characters and no arcs for them to embark on. So like it wasn't until the mushroom trip that all those things kind of fell into place for it. But yeah, the world came from this idea where you'll see movies like I think it was Elysium, or games like Halo, and most recently Interstellar, where there's a giant circular space station, and it's like you can see like houses and stuff, and it takes place inside this giant ring, and you know, 4 different creative sci-fi storytellers have thought that same image up and used it in their film or book. And I was like, what if you were to like turn that inside out and make it completely the opposite? And so in my world, the big giant moon-sized space station that the last of humanity all lives on is constructed by taking their last 14 starships and just combining them all together. And so there's a round core, and then the starships all just kind of shoot out in all different directions from it. And every single starship is enormous, so they have cities on all 4 or 5 sides of it. And you know, in the night sky, it just looks like this big lit up spark frozen in time.
How do you keep it all straight in your head? Like you've seen me today lose 2 links while we were on live. So
I tried making a map, and it did not work out very well. I made a very crude, like 2-dimensional one where I just had to have like 4, maybe 6 different versions to depict all the different sides, and it got very technical and very ridiculous. But when you're writing a sci-fi world, you got to be careful with that stuff, because those sci-fi nerds will get you.
Yeah. I get that. Richard asks, is the spark a snowflake? No,
that's why it's called the spark. If it was a snowflake, it would be called the snowflake.
Anne asked if you would narrate her audiobook. For a fee?
yeah. I mean, hey, I need work.
Eva says, biggest supporter that isn't part of this or another writing community.
So my sister is most likely my biggest supporter. She edits everything that I write. She's my alpha reader, and so she gets to see everything like raw and horrible, way worse than everybody else gets to see it. And she still says nice things about it, so I feel safe there. So that's probably my number one.
Richard's got a name for you for your site.
Everything a business opportunity. Branding.
Eva wanted to know about a dedication, and would you share it?
Sure. So my prologue, I dedicated the short story I dedicated to a friend named Kristen Tenpenny. She is a dear friend of my wife and I's, who passed away under horrible circumstances not too long ago. So that was for her. And then Shadow of the Spark is dedicated to me, first and foremost. I did this to prove to myself that I could. To my wife, Merlin, and 2 sons, Charlie and Felix, I hope I make you proud. I love you more than love.
Oh, I love that. So tell me this. So, and I don't remember if you said this at the beginning. So the prequel is available now for those that don't remember in the newsletter for free for the rest of the week. Is that right?
So it's the short story alone is always available through the newsletter for free.
Always. So
always.
Free.
However, this published version comes with 3 sample chapters from the novel. And so this version is usually on sale as an ebook for 99 cents.
Yeah.
Amazon won't do free books, so it's still 99 cents on Amazon, but everywhere else that does ebooks, it's free right now for this whole week. So this is free, and this is half price in ebook formats.
Yeah. Okay. How many books total?
In the series,
Yes.
So the plan is for a big solid trilogy of novels with some short story collections in between.
Nice.
But I'm leaving myself open throughout the writing of the second and third books to the possibility of 5 books if the story calls for it. I know that 5 books is kind of the sweet spot for genre series, so it would be nice to make it to 5, but my original plan has always been 3, so that's most likely what's going to happen.
So does your sister help you figure out, like, hey, pull this one out as a teaser story or as a short story? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, who helps you kind of figure out from your drafts, like, what you want to pull out and use for the little nuggets, the reader nuggets?
So my sister, one of the things that I love about her as an editor is that her first instinct when something is wrong is not to tell you to remove it or to change it, but rather to suggest ways to make it work better than it does. So she's always going to try to like help you execute your vision as good a quality as possible, but as close to your original vision as possible. She doesn't want to change it. She just wants to make it better. So so when I pull stories out for like short stories like the prologue, I did that because she, as well as everyone else who read it, told me that it was too long. It was too long to be a prologue in a novel. People are going to get bored. They're going to put it down. They're not going to stick around. Prologues need to be short. And I get that. So it was always written to be a short story, and it just became a novel. So I just figured, all right, it's a short story. It does tell a full, complete story from beginning, middle to end for one character. She goes on an entire arc. I wrote it that way on purpose because if it was going to end up in the novel, I wanted you to fall in love with those 2 characters who are going to wind up dead on the floor in chapter 1. I wanted you to want the detective to solve the case because you care about them and what happened to them.
They're having a whole discussion.
I haven't been keeping up. I don't know what's going on in the chat. I can't wait to go back and read all of this nonsense.
People have been telling you some things about the Amazon thing, though, to get around 99 cents, just FYI. So it's been too fast for me to star. So this may be one to watch because like Shannon had a good one here that I've got up. I caught this one, but Esther had one a little while back. That was like another way.
Oh yeah. I'll go through this thing with a comb.
Sorry, I'm old.
To find all the goodies.
Yeah. So, okay. And they're getting all, about the dedication. So sorry, I have to backtrack real quick.
Oh no, I hurt Anne's feelings. No, go ahead.
So Eva said something up above, and I liked it. It was something like much death or something. Is anybody sacred, or is there anybody that's totally safe that no matter what will end up at the end
of the series?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes,
there is for me, but I don't want the readers to know that necessarily, to know who. I want it to be a little Game of Thronesy where anybody could die at any time, but I don't intend to just kill off like willy-nilly. I was actually surprised by how low the body count is in this first book. But the second book is bound to be much darker and more bloodsheddy. So,
Love it. So on Esther's, we kind of talked about sequels, but what about on spinoffs? So on the little short stories and things you intend to do there, would they be considered spinoffs, or are you
could? Yeah. So one example of what I have, there's one that I had in the editing phase for a while. I want to go back and do a rewrite on it, but So there's a sequence in the main novel where our detective has to recover some items that somebody lost some time back. She needs to get them to complete her mission. And so one of the stories that I tell is the owner of those items and what happened to him and why those items ended up in that place. He was another detective doing a whole other investigation, and that's a whole little side adventure that relates in some way to the main story, but it's its own thing, exists by itself. And so that's kind of where I'm going with the short stories. But there's also going to be like history stuff in there where I'll just like tell the true events of some historical event that people are confusing in the main story. That it's muddled, the history has gotten kind of confusing, and I'll tell you the true story in some of those short stories.
Nice. Okay. Lauren wants to know your least favorite character, and is it obvious to the reader?
I don't know if I have a least favorite character because I made them all up. They're all my babies. I mean, there are characters who I intend for you to dislike. I intend for you to find them, either, aggressive or frustrating or annoying. There's also like there's one bouncy little guy who's like meant to be annoying, but I just find endearing. And so I'm curious to see what other people think, because I tried to make him annoying, but I really like him.
No, I get it.
I think he's a charming little guy.
Here we go. We're going to do the thing. Hold people. We're giving away another book. All right.
Two.
Know the hashtag.
MSOTS.
Yes. Wait, why is it saying 0?
You got to choose the broadcast.
Oh, of course. Perfect.
You got it.
Nailing it. 1 entry. What? Okay. Well, I'll take the 1. It's Morgan. Morgan, you're winning right now. Eva put an @ not a hashtag. Really? Yeah, Eva's like doing it for our generation. Nailed it.
It's climbing.
Yeah. There we go. Hashtag MSOTS. Oh, I guess you have to do it again when I reset. Sorry.
Oh, that makes sense.
Sorry. Got it.
Do it again, guys.
Good to see you, Savion. Hello, Ty. Hello. Hashtag MSOTS.
Yeah, give them time to.
Oh, here we go. You
guys ready?
Rhymes with what?
Rhymes with Kamas. What?
Margaret, come up.
Okay,
now we got some people. All right, here we go.
Let's do this. You guys ready?
Hit it. Ready? I'm ready. Born ready. Draw. Who's winning? Esther Marie Andujar. All right, Esther, I will be in touch. I need to write these down because
that's my sister from another mister.
Yes. Okay. Esther 11 and RC. All right, we got one more ebook and still a paperback to go, friends. So you're not done yet. Do not think it's over. You still got a chance. You just got to put in the hashtag. That's all you got to do. We got a couple more questions from the audience. I'm going to throw them up for our guest.
Let's do it.
Which character are we going to spin off, not the sequel?
I don't currently have plans for a spinoff, but something almost spinoffy happened where a side character that I had absolutely no plans for whatsoever really struck with some beta readers. And because that character became so popular among beta readers, I beefed up her whole like story arc, and now she's like a major player in the 2nd and 3rd books. So that that counts.
Yeah, sure. All right, hang on.
No plans for a spinoff yet, but maybe someday. We'll see.
Yeah. Did any humor from YouTube make it into the book as an Easter egg?
I know that I put some stuff in there. I probably have forgotten most of the stuff that I put in there to be silly. I know that somebody told me about what's that punctuation mark that's both a question mark and an exclamation mark at the same time. There's like a fancy word for it.
Oh, that I don't know.
Somebody like dared me to like fit one in there, so there's one in there. And I want to say that there's a reference in there somewhere for Richard Holiday, but I can't for the life of me right now remember what it was. So it'll be a surprise for all of us when and if we find it. That's an interrobang. That is what that's called. Thank you. Yes. So there's an interrobang in there and possibly a Richard Holiday reference that I have forgotten.
Wow. Okay, that's fun for me. I
I
might have
also put two characters from Scrubs in there. They're like hidden, and you like if you
really.
recognize them, you recognize them, and if not, you don't.
That's really funny. I love that. I love that show. Okay. Richard asks, oh, I love this question. Were you tripping slash high during the writing process, a la Stephen King?
I was not tripping ever during writing. I can't
Too
imagine that
hard.
I could write on
Okay, that'd
mushrooms.
be hard. You could
That's a
maybe record.
yeah, but
I
it
don't know
would be a
if
yeah.
that record.
I don't know how much like I would get out of that. It's more of an internal kind of journey. Yeah, no, I don't write on mushrooms or anything like that. And mushrooms is something that I do very once in a blue moon. Like I've done it maybe 5 times in my life altogether. It's not a very common thing. But cannabis is a fairly common thing. So yeah, probably through most of it.
Richard has thrown down the gauntlet. If I find a single reference to Dickie, then you get a 1 star. Speak.
I don't think it was anything that
No.
yeah, no.
On the
If anything, it's probably like a pun about a nightmare tenant or something. I know that I have a hotel in there, so maybe that's it. I honestly can't remember.
Oh, that's really funny. Okay, so we're getting lots of good entries.
Tarot fans.
Continuing to enter. Lots of good questions. I'm throwing a few up here. Which POV was the most difficult to write?
The one that we ended up cutting. I wrote an entire chapter in the point of view of the killer. While the whole rest of the novel was in third person limited, when I got to that chapter, the only way I could write it was first person. And I don't write first person. I don't even like doing it. But for some reason, that chapter had to exist that way for me. So I wrote it in first person because I wanted to put you in the killer's head and make you all like twisted and disgusted. And then my sister read it and she's like, "You got to cut this whole thing. Like you got to cut all of it." I'm like, "Oh, all right." So that's gone. It's not in there anymore.
Nice. So she's basically your dev editor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. Not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were talking earlier. I read part of it in 2021 behind Bethany, as we talked about backstage, where she was giving like great feedback, and I was like, "This is good." But so, what do you think were your biggest changes? I went back and read the new, so I can compare on my end. Really, as I told you backstage, there wasn't a lot of changes. I do think they were slimmer. So definitely, you had, 2 of the chapters specifically had gotten a lot shorter. So that must have just been trimming down.
Yeah.
But what about you? Were there big changes from that time? Because that would have been pretty early on your journey to now.
So the biggest change in the first chapter happened before you read it, I believe, because I originally started the chapter at the crime scene. She was outside the crime scene about to go in, because everybody tells you start it at the most like interesting part, and I'm like, okay, crime scene, so let's go. And it made sense to me, and most murder mystery novels will begin that way. But this character was had just been appointed as a detective. This is her first case, and this is something that she's wanted for a long time. And so in that version of that chapter, I had her thinking about that a lot, but not experiencing it. And one of my first beta readers, not my sister in this case, but Nina Moreno, who some of you might know from
I know
my
from
channel and before, she writes excellent YA novels, and she read it and she was like, "That's such a big and important moment in her life that it needs to be there. We need to see it. We need to experience it with it. It'll give weight to her whole journey." And I was like, "You're right." So I had to rewrite the whole beginning of that chapter to include all of that first time stuff leading up into the crime scene. After that, after the version you read, all the edits from there was all mostly about streamlining and just tightening up some of the prose. But there were like entire scenes out of those first 3 chapters or so that I cut out entirely, and that's why it feels so much slimmer. Like there were just whole scenes that didn't need to be there.
Oh wow. Okay. Nice. Look at you. That's hard for me. Cutting's hard. That's always the hardest part.
I subscribe to that school of like, be ruthless, go at it with a knife and just chop out of it.
Eva wants to know if she's in the book.
I'm sorry. No, you're not.
Wow, Eva didn't make it. Didn't make the cut. Shannon said, will any Game of Thrones characters make it into your next work?
Probably not. No. I borrowed George Martin's chapter structure. And so I fear if I borrow any more than that, it's just gratuitous. So no, there won't be any Game of Thrones characters in there. Any references to characters will be masked, and they'll be from like stuff that was formative for me. Like Scrubs was one for me like that. That you just want to make reference to something that took years of your life and molded you.
Yeah. Angela has this. I think it's interesting. Definitely some good advice an author gave out at a convention a few years ago was leave a few threads in case your editor says fans like this series. Make more.
Yeah. And I do I think that's something that I'll be doing, because in this first novel I set up a whole bunch of little mysteries. I pay off a lot of them, but all the answers, if I've done them correctly, should just lead to more questions. And so those new mysteries we'll explore in the next book, and so on. And so even if I'm ending the series, it should end with some answers that lead to more questions, just in case you want more,
Oh, for sure. Amy.
No.
All right, here we go. Esther had a question for you. Would you release the killer POV as a 99-cent or a newsletter freebie, or is it something that would not see the light of day?
I would, if I do anything with it, I would have to rewrite it from start to finish. It would have to be completely different, because it's no longer going to be a part of the novel, so it has to exist on its own. It would probably be a much different thing. In its current form, no, I don't think that'll ever see the light of day. But I might do something with his point of view like that as a short story someday. Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Possibility.
Okay. JC's asking for it. Please release it. Please release it. I mean, you can always maybe beta read something for him, and you can take it. I love that JC killers so much. I forget she reads like hardcore mystery thrillers. I always forget that until she's like, I love that killer. Best way to go.
All right.
It says no one else is worried that he could only write the killer POV in first person.
I think that comes from my love of stuff like Seven and Zodiac, where like the presentation is part of the storytelling. And so I just feel like if you're going to put somebody in the point of view of the killer, the most disturbing format would be first person. Like that's gonna, especially if you haven't been reading first person since all of a sudden like you are the killer. Like I don't know, like I thought that would be kind of cool. It just didn't work.
Yes. Definitely. It's time. I'm not even giving anybody time. There's 12 entries.
Let's go.
The third ebook is, the last one is a paperback. Adrian is sending to you.
It shall be signed and personalized.
Author Lauren Adele. Lauren, I will reach out and get your info. So Esther, R.C. Scott, and Lauren won the ebooks for today. We still got a chance for you to win a paperback. So stay tuned. We're not done yet. Hold on tight. Yeah, hold that bad boy up. So let's talk about the cover. Who did your cover?
A lovely artist by the name of Thea Majorand, or Majorand. I don't actually know how to pronounce her last name, but you can find her website at ikaruna.eu. That's IKARUNA, ikaruna.eu. And she does wonderful covers and character designs and what's it called? Concept art. She does all kinds of stuff for authors and other creative people. She does all of Victoria Wren's covers. If you've ever seen a Victoria Wren cover, that's her. And I went to 5 different artists plus Meeblart, who's an entire business around covers, and I pitched them this cover, this idea. Like I just like listed these details and told them what I wanted to see, and they all told me they couldn't do it, that it was too much, that it was too cluttered, that it wouldn't work, and they all pitched me something different. Meeblart pitched me like a movie poster, like a Marvel movie poster with like the floating heads in the corner and like and I'm like, no. She was the first one to take it as a challenge. And dive in, and she nailed it. On her first draft, she nailed it. It was all like little cosmetic tweaks after that, but it's crazy.
Love it. So did you buy for the series? Do you already have?
This was an isolated buy, but she will be doing the rest of my series for me. Yes, yeah, yeah. I already know like what the cover will be for the second book. I already have it.
Nice
in my head.
The blend of pastels and dark tones draws the eye.
Yeah,
there's the artist again. Shannon said.
Yes. So you know what? Let me write it in the chat here so that you guys see the spelling. It's Thea Madrand, and she's at ekaruna.eu. And let me
Love
https colon double slash there. All right. So that's the link, and that's her name, and go check her out. Her prices are fair. Her work is immaculate, and she is all about getting you to what you wanted. So she doesn't put a cap on revisions. She's just like, we're gonna work on it until it's right, and she
Yeah.
does. And you give her notes on Tuesday morning. Wednesday afternoon, you've got new stuff to look at, and it's beautiful and
Wow.
it's gorgeous. She's really good. She's very thorough. She's very fast. She's highly recommend.
Nice, nice, good. So, okay, you're in release week. So tell us, what's it feel like? Like you've been doing kind of like me, other people's stuff for years. So how does it feel
Yeah.
to finally be the belle of the ball?
It's a little weird to have to talk about myself now after all this time of like not doing that purposefully. Yeah, it was weird. Saturday I still hadn't received the paperbacks in the mail, and I wanted to have them in time for the launch on Sunday, so I was feeling kind of bummed, and I
Yeah.
was just kind of like moping around, and this like weird funk the day before, and
Yeah.
then they came in the mail while I was at work,
Ah,
and I was, it was gonna drag me down even more until I was like, I got a lunch break coming up. I drove home. I got it out of the mailbox. I took it home. I did my unboxing video on my phone in
oh, I
the
love
in
it.
the office, and I just did it there, and it cheered me up. And I've been riding that high ever since.
Yeah,
So yeah, launch day was fun. I did a whole bunch of different streams. I did 4 different streams on 4 different channels, including my own.
crazy.
Um, Yesterday I hit up TikTok and Facebook ads. Um, I did a bunch of newsletter stuff on Sunday. I'm doing more newsletter stuff on Wednesday, more again on Friday. Yeah. And if anybody wants to have me on their channel at any point this week to talk about this, please shout me out, because the answer is probably going to be yes. As long as I'm not at work, I'll do it.
All of the socials are in the description box below. I'm sure you can reach out via any of them messengers, right? Like
Yes,
Facebook and
sir.
all.
Yep. Absolutely. Any one of them is perfectly fine to contact me on.
So yes, wait, no, that's what I was saying, JC. I don't know why you didn't get in the thing, because the paperback is your thing. Like you're my paperback gal. So I was rooting for you for that one. So did we do the hashtag wrong? Let me look. Let
But
me look.
we did the ebooks. We haven't done the paperback one yet, right?
Yeah, right. But hers didn't. She said her picture didn't show up. Wait, let me
Oh,
check.
oh.
Let me see if I
Got to
see.
make sure it's working for
Oh,
the people.
JC, I saw your picture twice. So I know you're in there. Might be rigged. Although if you win this
It's just
time, then
fast.
next time I'm gonna feel terrible.
It's
Okay,
just
no,
zipping
Laura
by real fast.
so
But
it
yeah,
is.
that's my cover, and I love it.
No, I'm so proud of you. Yeah, sorry, we got distracted by the
No, you're good. It's really nice.
yeah. So anyway, no, yeah, that's so what talk to me a little bit more about the marketing stuff. So first of all, one thing I'll tell you,
Mm.
you're priced like a real like a not a real book, a traditionally published book. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about your pricing strategy.
So, much like what I learned with the print for the prologue, the print prices are kind of a pain because it costs a lot of money to print books,
For
apparently, and
sure.
everybody wants to take their chunk out of it. Amazon wants their chunk, and Drafted Digital wants theirs, and so the the paperback is priced at $19.99 for several reasons. One, it is a thick boy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pages. There's 39 chapters if you're counting the epilogue, and again, that's without the prologue because I cut it out of there, so it would have been 40. And so it's a thick book. It's big. It's going to take you a couple of days to get through it, at least if you don't put it down. But also because that is the only way for me to at least make $1 off
No,
of the
that's
sales.
good. I could forever and a day. I wish I
So here's
hate
the thing.
books like that.
I love the idea of all of you guys having one of these and holding it up in your hands. And if you buy one of these, thank you so much. It will mean the world to me that you wanted to actually have it. That being said, if what you're looking to do is support me, then buying the ebook is the best way to do that. I get more money from one ebook sale than I do from one paperback sale. And it's half price this whole week.
Yeah.
So just get it while it's super cheap. It's going to go up to $9.99 next week for the ebook.
Yeah.
So for now, take advantage of the sale. That's going to help me out a huge deal. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah. and it's less money for you. It's just cheaper.
Sarah, the founder of Inimitable Books, says, print on demand printing prices suck. Being able to do a print run lowers the cost of each book, but then you have to worry about storage, and there's the pros and cons to everything. That's a great. I'm sure I could geek out with Zara on that.
She's absolutely right, and that's the balancing that I had to do. And do I want to just have it be easy for me with Draft to Digital and they do everything, but unfortunately that means the price has to be higher, or because like I live in a 1-bedroom apartment, we're a family of 4, we're moving to a bigger house soon, but it's cramped in here. I can't have books in here, like I got kids running around.
Right, totally. I think that's really interesting and good thing to talk about too, because so many in our community write big girl books. They're 700 pages or more sometimes, and that increases costs. And you have to think about that.
I wanted to tell you guys an accurate page count because I actually don't know, and it is 456 pages.
Nothing
of story.
Afternoon, you can down it. Why did you do Draft to Digital rather than KDP directly? Okay, remind me what KDP. KDP is the
Kindle Direct Publishing, or Kindle Direct Printing, or something like that.
The exclusive Amazon one, right? Where you're like exclusive to Amazon, or no?
So I think KDP is referring to their print side of things. Okay, yeah. Gotcha. So I did it through Draft to Digital mostly because of the money that I would save on formatting. I tried to format it myself and it was a disaster. I looked at what people were charging for formatting and I couldn't afford it. Draft to Digital formats it automatically. It gives me the tools that I need to touch it up however I needed. And then it distributes the book to everybody. I don't have to go to individual people and worry about it. And I wanted to avoid Ingram Spark, who I've heard nothing but horror stories about. So Draft to Digital was just the best case scenario for a first time launch. Maybe on the next book, I will not publish the print through Draft to Digital and instead take it out of there and do it directly through Kindle or Amazon rather. But I don't know. We'll see. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I might even publish a new edition of this later on separately like that and try it myself just to see how that goes. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I like that. Okay. Now, do we want to do the paperback? We have a good number in the drawing. I'm feeling very good about it. JC, this is your moment. You love a good paperback. But I will get one, Adrian, so that when we're next together on a stream, I can hold it.
That sounds awesome.
Okay, here we go. This is your moment, JC. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like excited.
Who gets it?
Times.
Who's gonna get
it? Wow. All right, Just Eva, it's you. You're the star today.
For the print, Ava, send me an email, booksbyadrian@gmail.com. booksbyadrian@gmail.com. Just send me an email with your shipping information. I have the 3 emails of winners from my Sunday launch, so you are the 4th. I will be mailing these out before the end of the week, I believe.
Sweet. Congrats.
Yay.
Okay, so I'm going to switch gears a teeny bit and talk real quick about your channel. So what's going to be happening on the old Books by Adrian?
So I've been doing fewer live events lately because, as you saw from earlier, my Wi-Fi is kind of crap here. I am moving in June. I don't know if that is going to improve my Wi-Fi or make it even worse. So for now, I'm trying to play a loosey-goosey on what's coming up on the channel. For now, I'm focusing on the marketing of the book and doing videos up on the channel, like readings that I can do little animations for. I've been working on some of those things. And I will be writing a bunch of short stories coming up soon for the newsletter, which I might also do readings of on the channel. So expect more like actual story on the channel, more stuff from me entertainment wise that way. And then once I have my Wi-Fi situation under solid control, I'll schedule a new season of Livestream Sunday. And I already have a list of guests who have already said yes whenever it's time to go. So yeah, so we're good.
So good. So you intend to keep going. Did you ever turn it into a podcast? Did you start the podcast, or is it just
So, typewriters podcast is the podcast. It's also currently on hold, but I did record some standalone episodes that I still just need to edit a little bit and put up for that. So there will be podcast episodes within the next couple of weeks.
nice? Okay, Eva's asking what she wants. The paperback. You want the paperback? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You won the
You have
paperback.
to email Adrian, booksbyadrian@gmail.com. I can send it to you too.
Yeah.
Then you will get a shipment in the mail sending out probably the end of the week. So happy to all my AuthorTube friends launching books too. More for the May Mayhem reading. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You should go over to Mama Maggie's if she's doing some streams and do a reading. That's the best part of the marketing plan. So talk to me a little bit about the marketing part. Like, is it a long game? Like, I'm assuming you have launch week, but really you're kind of pushing this book because it's the beginning of the series until the end, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And everybody tells you that your second and third books are there to sell more of your first book. So so yes, I'll be marketing this forever. But one of the things that I did was I took a couple of free book marketing courses, and
Yeah.
David Goffran, I want to make sure that I don't misspell his name. I believe it is David Goff. All right, I think that's what it is, Cochran. I put it in the chat. He has a free publishing course, marketing course rather, and one of the big things that I pulled out of that, there were two big takeaways. One was that Amazon respects consistency in sales. You don't have to sell hundreds of copies. You have to sell consistent copies. So if from Monday through Friday you are selling solid, consistent numbers, and if on Friday maybe you go up a little rather than down, which is the norm, then Amazon will catch wind of that and they will advertise your book for you in their emails and their also bots and stuff like that. So my goal is to every couple of weeks have a really solid, consistent sale week. So that's what I'm trying with this launch week. I'm trying to hit a different audience every day of the week, try to get as many sales on each individual day as possible, so that hopefully Amazon will then start putting me in emails for the next couple of weeks, and then I'll do it again.
I had done his video series a few years ago and loved it, and have read a couple of his books. Now, talk to me a little bit. Did you decide to, what did you narrow in on as your keywords? Because he talks a lot about, which categories that you go under. So which categories did you put the book under?
So that's a great question, because that actually brings me to like the second big takeaway of that, which was every author who's out there marketing their book, they're trying to narrow down one specific niche and market to that one niche group as much as possible. And it's one of the reasons that they tell you not to write a multi-genre book is because it'll be harder to nail down a single niche. And what I learned from David Goffran is that that's a strength, not a weakness. You can focus marketing to a niche and then focus just as much marketing to a completely different one and a completely different one. And they all have things that they will find and love inside your book. And you will sell books to all three of those different niches. So this being a murder mystery, sci-fi, fantasy with a romance subplot with LGBTQ characters in lead roles and a polyamorous plot line in the romance subplot. Like there are niches that I can focus on and let them know that there's stuff they're going to love in this book.
Eva asked if you're making content about your launch week, like a vlog.
I have been so like out of my own head with this whole like, oh my god, my book is out in the world and people can read it now. I'm like kind of having a little bit of a panic about that. So I have not been doing that. No, I completely forgot to do like little vlogs or stuff. But I think what I will do is at the end of the week, I'll do one big like wrap up vlog and release that maybe next week on the channel.
Sweet. RC, you won, by the way. RC's like lunch break. RC, you won a book.
Yeah, you won the first one, I think.
David Gogren. He's kind of a marketing guy. Here it is.
Confirm his spelling.
Okay, here it is. No, I think you're right. He's Scottish, right? Or
yeah, I did spell it correctly. Yeah, that's the correct spelling. I'll get the link and put it in the chat as well.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. See, people are kind of dropping it. Okay, I'm going to put up the last questions, and then we'll wind things down. I don't want to eat into Nia's time. I was trying to stay between people and not overlap anybody because I was last minute because of me. Work schedule has been crazy. Sorry about that, Adrian.
No. Fair enough.
Mama Maggie asked, did you remember to do all the marketing, or did some of it fall through the cracks while prepping for the launch? I'm sure that happens to everybody, right? I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure that did. Yeah, there's probably a couple of different little marketing schemes that I let fall through. But I also have a couple of buddies up in Buffalo who right now are taking all this content that I'm creating this week, for like this show and mine, and they're going to be putting together lots of little cool promos and stuff. And we'll hit the second week hard with that too. So it's not going to slow down. It's going to ramp up.
Yeah, good. Mama Maggie asks, how hard was it to find keywords and tags?
I mean, it's going to be trial and error, I think, for most people. You know, like, you're not going to nail it with your first batch. There are going to be some in there that work and some that don't, and you're going to identify which ones did and which ones didn't, and you're going to continue to refine those keywords and those tags. So you know, I'm allowed changes on my print once every 90 days, and I can update my ebook pretty much whenever I want. So I will be experimenting with those keywords and trying to hone in on exactly the best ones.
Yeah. Eva asked, did you send ARKs? If so, how many? And if you said so, sorry, my family is needy tonight.
I sent out a couple of ARKs in ebook format just before launch, like maybe a week or two before launch. So they didn't have it for very long before that, just to get like some reviews going. And they're slow going up on Amazon. You know how that is. So I did send out a couple, but not too many. I focused a lot on the beta readers, and I didn't do too much in the ARK readers. And I think next time I might switch that and do way more ARK readers next time.
Yeah, sweet. I love this question. Adrian, how early do you start your marketing plans? How do you balance in writing promoting time?
A
wife and a job, by the way.
I don't know how I do it. That's the honest answer to that. How early you start? I started the marketing plans. I made a trailer for a novel I hadn't finished writing yet. I made it like 2-3 years ago and put it up on my channel. You can still watch it. It's under the trailers playlist. And that's how early I started. I basically, once I knew that I was writing a novel and that I was going to finish it, like this is it. This is the one I'm going to finish and publish. Once I was there, I started marketing. I started up YouTube. I started up Instagram. And I've just this whole time just been hoping to find people that are interested in it and waiting for it. And now that it's finally out, now I want to find so many more people to actually read it. But yeah, start early. You know, there's no harm in getting a nice pool of people excited about a thing that's coming down the pipeline.
I think that's great advice. I think I want to point out again, because we're talking reviews, for everybody who won books today, please leave a review when you finish the book. We really appreciate it on Amazon or all the places. It really makes a difference, and it's helpful to everybody. I will do the same, Adrian, probably within a week. So mine will be up there soon. And I'll go in there and edit it and make it bigger when I'm not as busy at work and have some time off. But I will get one up there in time because it makes a difference. So don't forget that, friends. I love the imprint. I didn't even notice that on the spine. Yeah. Because on the
marketing,
it like pops right before you turn the cover page. Oh, I love it. Right? That is cool. I'm so proud of you. Look at you doing the dang thing.
The dang thing has been done.
It's been done. I'm so proud. Thank you to everyone for being here and for, I didn't review Price War. Thank you, Richard, for reminding me because I had forgotten. I'm sure there's quite a few. I'm sure
Barrett's a very busy guy.
But I will get it done. No, it's just because I'm working again and I didn't for years before. So, hey, Shan, sorry I stepped on your stream. Okay, we are going to wind things down because Nia the Vixen Fiction is doing her stream tonight, starting in about a half an hour. So be over there for Night Right with Nia the Vixen Fiction and her crew. Adrian, I'm so glad we could do this. I love you to bits. I hope as the next 2 books come out, you'll come back and we'll do this again.
Oh, I'll be here.
I can't wait. And everybody out there, don't forget to buy the book. All the links are in the description box below. For the folks that are waiting on books from me, I'll reach out on Instagram or the socials and get your information for how I can send it to you. Everybody out there, I appreciate you. If you're watching this on the replay, consider subscribing and also subscribe over to Books by Adrian. You will love the content. Adrian, I'm going to let you do the outro and then we'll get out of here.
Okay, yeah, I've been Adrian, Right On Writers. Thank you so much for having me. Please pick up a copy. The ebook is on sale, 50% off. It's $4.99. It goes up to $9.99 next week, so grab it while it's hot. And if you are at all on the fence, the short story prologue is currently free everywhere except Amazon, but you can get it for free by signing up to my newsletter, booksbyadrian.com. And lastly, I saw a question in the chat at some point earlier. They came in late and they wanted to know what genre the books is. It's a murder mystery set in a sci-fi fantasy world. Boom.
Multi-genre. JC says congrats. She still wants that killer spinoff. Same with RK. Hey, good to see you. Alrighty, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much. And I hope I get to see all of you around the tubes.